A man named Alec arrives at the airport late to catch his flight. Luckily, one of the airport workers, Neela, allows him to get through and drop his bag so that he'll be able to join the plane leaving Dubai for London. However, as he gets to the boarding gate, he's told that he's already late.
So the gate is now closed.
Alec begs the lady at the gate to let him through because his bag is already on the plane, but she says she can't do that. Just then, a man named Sam, who is also heading to the plane, begs the lady to consider Alec.
How bad can it be?
Following this, Alec is allowed to join the plane in economy class, while Sam heads into business class to drop his small purse containing a diamond necklace he got for his ex-wife, who he's going to see in London. Elsewhere, the plane's captain, Robin, and his first officer, Anna, inform the Dubai air traffic control operator, Abdullah, that they're ready to take off. After they wish him the best, Robin and Anna get the plane moving. Just before it takes off, Sam sits next to a guy named Hugo and sends a message to his ex-wife, Marcia, saying he's already on the plane even though she doesn't want him to come.
You turn it down.
Elsewhere, Sam's son, Kai, realizes that Marcia invited her detective boyfriend, Daniel, to stay in the house for a few days. He doesn't look happy about this, especially because he dislikes cops. And as he walks away, Daniel looks worried and tells Marcia that he doesn't know what else to do to make Kai accept him. Meanwhile, a girl on the plane named Naomi heads to the bathroom and finds a bullet casing on the floor. She's left shocked by this, but she still picks it up and takes it to show her friends, who also look surprised. While they're talking about it, a man named Terry asks Naomi if there's anything wrong. Since he has been nice to her since she entered the plane, Naomi shows him the bullet casing and tells him where she saw it. Terry looks surprised by this, but as the girls mention that they need to alert the attendants on the plane, he says he can do that for them.
What's she not doing?
Even though the girls are not sure of this, Naomi gives the bullet casing to Terry. Instead of telling the flight attendants about it, Terry goes to meet a man named Stuart to inform him that someone on the plane has seen the bullet casing. Since this could make people panic if they hear about it, Terry tells Stuart to move forward with their plan. However, Stuart says it's too early and that they're supposed to start their plan 3 hours into the flight.
The plan was 3 hours.
He then tells Terry to lie to Naomi and her friends that the situation has been handled. Terry is unsure about this, but Stuart then gives him a green cap to wear to his seat so that their other colleagues on the plane will be ready for whatever happens. Sam sees the men while they're talking, and he starts to suspect that they're up to something. Meanwhile, Terry goes to meet Naomi and her friends to inform them that the flight attendants have confirmed that the bullet casing is nothing serious.
The important thing.
After he returns to his seat, though, one of Naomi's friends doesn't think he's telling the truth. She then taps a button to call on a flight attendant to ask if they truly think a bullet found on the plane is nothing serious. Terry sees this and doesn't like how it looks, so he starts wondering whether to take action. Elsewhere, Sam sees Stuart with a wash bag, so he asks one of the flight attendants, Divya, to give him one too. However, he's told that no one was given a wash bag. Since this makes Stuart more suspicious, Sam starts to wonder what could happen.
Only on the overnight flights.
Back at the airport, Neela is scanning some of the bags about to be loaded on the plane when she gets a call from her husband telling her to come home. He sounds quite nervous on the phone and tells her to report that she's sick so she can come home because there are people who want her there. Despite looking confused, Neela leaves work and heads home. After a while, one of the flight attendants, Arthur, meets Naomi and her friends to ask what they want. When they start telling him about the bullet casing and a possible gun on the plane, Arthur looks confused because he doesn't know what they're talking about. While this is happening,
Excuse me?
a man named Jaden opens his wash bag in the restroom and starts loading his gun. Coincidentally, Sam leaves his seat to walk around and see if there's anything suspicious happening in the next cabin. Just then, Terry, Jaden, and a lady named Jamie bring out their guns and tell all the passengers to remain silent. Divya immediately tries to tell the pilots about what's happening, but Stuart stops her. Luckily, Arthur is able to get to a phone, so he calls Robin to inform him that there are dangerous people on the plane.
They've got guns.
Robin doesn't really get this, but as Arthur tries to give him more details, Jamie stops him from saying anything else. She then asks for a flight attendant named Colette. While this is happening, Sam has already found a place to sit next to a lady named Amanda, who looks really scared and anxious. To make her calm down, Sam gives her a bottle of water. And after she mentions that she has a family, he tells her not to worry because he's sure they'll all make it home. Meanwhile, Robin and Anna spot Stuart holding a gun in front of the cockpit. Just then, Robin sends a message to Abdullah to inform him that there's a definite incident going on inside the plane. Abdullah asks for more details, but Robin says he doesn't know much yet. Elsewhere, one of the criminals, Lewis, starts collecting the phones of the passengers. When he gets to Sam, the man tells him that his phone is in his original seat and that if they tell him to go there, he'd pick it up. Lewis doesn't let this happen, and he watches Jamie take Colette to meet Stewart. The group leader then instructs Colette to tell Robin to open the cockpit. Colette says he won't do that, but as Stewart tells her that he knows about their affair, she looks shocked.
That's right.
Since he also threatens to kill her if she doesn't do what he wants, Colette finally speaks to Robin and tells him to open the door so that she won't be killed. Robin decides to open the door because he loves Colette, but Anna immediately stops him. Unfortunately, he ends up beating her before he finally lets the criminals into the cockpit. Following this, he's told to send a message back to Abdullah to inform him that the earlier reported case was a false alarm. When he does this, Abdullah still believes something is wrong, but Robin manages to convince him that some drunken passengers were only trying to prank everyone. Even though he still thinks it's suspicious, Abdullah clears Robin to leave Dubai's airspace. Just then, Stewart tells Robin to turn off the Wi-Fi.
Now turn off the Wi-Fi.
As he's locating the button to do that, Sam sneakily brings out his phone from his pocket. Amanda is shocked to see this, but he tells her to remain calm. He then texts Marcia to inform her of a serious incident on his plane. Luckily, the message is sent before the Wi-Fi is turned off, and Sam quickly hides his phone. Shortly after, the criminals then announce to the passengers that the plane has been hijacked. They also mention that no one on the ground knows about the hijack, so they need to remain calm until they get to London because they don't want to have to use force to control the passengers. After they finish the announcement,
Well, you come up here just for that?
Sam goes to meet Stewart and mentions that he doesn't really care about the other passengers and that he only wants to get home to his family. He then adds that he wants to help the hijackers. Elsewhere, Neela arrives home, but she doesn't see her husband or child. Meanwhile, Marcia gets Sam's text and reports it to Daniel. As they talk about it with Kai, he says his dad wouldn't send a message like that if it weren't serious.
Dad wouldn't lie about something like this.
Marcia then laments that she told him not to get on the plane, but Daniel says he'll see if he can find anything about it from his colleagues. After he leaves the house, Daniel calls a colleague named Zara, who works in the counterterrorism unit. He reports the case to her, and she says she'll look into it. During the process, British Air Traffic Control is contacted regarding a likely problem on Sam's plane. Since they know nothing about it, the boss at the British ATC, Simon, calls Dubai ATC to ask if anything happened.
I say everything is okay. False alarm.
He is then informed of a false alarm reported by the pilot. Meanwhile, Abdullah still suspects that something went wrong on the plane, so he decides to start digging on his own. Shortly after, Zara informs Daniel that Sam's plane is safe, so he passes the information to Marcia, who sounds angry because she believes Sam lied to get her worried. Kai hears this and looks unhappy, but since his dad is okay, he doesn't say anything. After his mom leaves the house,
When has your phone ever been off?
Kai then decides to go to Sam's apartment to wait for him. Back on the plane, Sam tells Stewart that he really wants to help because things could still go wrong before they reach London. Stewart doesn't believe him, and he collects Sam's passport, after which he sends Sam back to his seat before taking a picture of his passport's identity page. Shortly after, two men on the plane decide to take on Jaden to get his gun and fight the other hijackers. In the process, Jaden loses his gun, and as it drops, the trigger releases a gunshot, but no one is harmed. Before the men beat up Jaden, Stewart and the others quickly run to stop them. However, Jaden's gun falls in front of Sam. Instead of using it, though, he hands it to Stewart to earn his trust. Shortly after, Sam tells Stewart that he thinks Robin will be a problem.
I just want to get home.
He adds that Robin could be taking them elsewhere if he's not removed from the cockpit. Stewart agrees with him, so he gets the pilot to leave the cockpit after putting the plane on autopilot. Just then, Sam uses the screen in front of him to contact Robin so they can chat secretly through a game. The hijackers don't suspect anything, and Robin tells Sam that no one on the ground knows anything yet. However, he mentions that Iraqi ATC will soon contact the plane because they're about to fly through the country. Robin and Sam then devise a plan to alert the authorities that the plane has been hijacked. When they reach Iraqi airspace,
Got a message coming through in there. Have a listen.
the ATC operator asks to speak to the pilot to confirm where he's headed. Sam immediately tells Stewart that Robin needs to answer the call, but he decides against it and tells Jamie to get Anna to speak to the operator. Anna then lies that she's the pilot, But unfortunately, the operator already knows that the pilot is a man. As the operator threatens to flag the plane as dangerous if the pilot doesn't answer, Stewart finally decides to listen to Sam.
Captain is away from the cockpit.
Following this, Robin speaks to the Iraqi ATC operator and explains that he wasn't in the cockpit because he went to the restroom. The operator doesn't believe this, but since Robin confidently answers his security question, the plan is granted permission to fly over Iraq. However, as Robin is about to return to his seat, he sneakily sets the plane off course so that British ATC will notice that something is wrong. Meanwhile, Abdullah finds CCTV footage showing that Neela left her seat and hurriedly left work. When he asks one of the security officials about it,
So you saw nothing suspicious?
he's informed that Neela left because she felt sick. The security personnel also mentions that Neela is one of the best workers at the airport and that she even caught someone who tried to smuggle a gun into a plane a few days earlier. With this, Abdullah realizes that someone might have deliberately made Neela leave her post. After a while, he then decides to visit Neela, but as he gets to her house, he sees two cleaners inside.
I'm looking for Neela.
He looks shocked by this, but after he's told to meet Neela upstairs, Abdullah sees that the lady and her family have been killed. Before he can do anything, though, one of the cleaners kills him. Elsewhere, a lady named Alice, who works at the British ATC, arrives to begin her shift. She then notices that there has been an inquiry about Sam's plane. When she asks Simon and her colleagues about it, they confirm that it was just a false alarm, but Alice believes it could be something more. As she asks more questions, Simon says they've been unable to get any messages to the plane because the Wi-Fi is down. With this, Alice then mentions that something is off. A while later, Simon calls Iraqi ATC and learns that the pilot took a long time to answer their call. When they then share their screen to show the plane's path, Alice notices a deviation
On the other line?
and calls an expert named Michael to check it. After taking a look at it, Michael mentions that something is definitely wrong and that it's almost like someone is calling for help. Shortly after, Alice reports this to Zara, who then goes to her unit and sets up a meeting to discuss what has happened so far. Back on the plane, a couple in business class, Yusuf and Rashida, suddenly start arguing silently. However, they're speaking Arabic, so Sam doesn't know what they're saying. Luckily, another passenger named Lisha hears them, so she tells Sam and Hugo that the couple are arguing because Yusuf thinks the hijackers don't have real bullets in their guns. Sam is shocked by this. But he doesn't believe this because the hijackers wouldn't take the risk of coming into the plane without real bullets. Yusuf insists that he knows what he's saying because he used to work in the military. Just then, Hugo suggests sending a message to those in the economy class to search around to see if they can find the bullet that was shot earlier. Sam warns him against doing this because it could put them in danger, but Hugo says they need to act fast. He then lies about needing to use the restroom, but as he enters, he writes a note and passes it to economy class. Shortly after, the plane reaches Istanbul, so Stewart instructs Robin to speak to the ATC. Robin answers all the questions asked, but the operator also mentions that he has changed his course slightly, so he immediately corrects it after lying that the winds likely made the plane deviate from its correct path. A few minutes later, a woman beside Hugo's note picks it up and looks around for the bullet. She eventually gets caught,
What are you doing?
but she lies about what she's doing. She then turns on her reading light to signal Hugo that she didn't find the bullet. Before Sam can say anything, he notices that the plane is now returning to its normal course. As he tries to ask Robin about it, the pilot gets caught typing a message, but he quickly deletes it and says it's nothing. Stewart then smashes his head with a gun, but Sam quickly stands up to defend him by saying the pilot cannot be killed. Stewart doesn't like this, so he threatens to kill Sam. However, he decides against it and warns Sam not to complain about anything again. Following this, Sam tells Lisha to ask Yusuf if he can differentiate between the bullets. He says he can, so they pass a paper to him to draw what a real and fake bullet looks like. After he does this, Sam devises another plan to get Divya to convince Stewart to give the passengers drinking water so she can get the note to Naomi to identify the bullet she saw. Stewart agrees to let the passengers drink water, so Divya sneakily gets the note to Naomi.
Which did you see?
Who tells Arthur her answer. While this is happening, Stewart puts on the Wi-Fi and calls someone to inform them to make their move because the hijack is already in progress. After a while, Arthur informs Sam and Hugo that Naomi has selected the option for blanks. Sam then says they'll have to take down the hijackers, starting with Terry. Hugo looks quite anxious and says he can't do it, so Sam says he'll go alone.
Okay, this is our chance.
Coincidentally, one of the passengers attacks Jaden for not letting him pick up his uncle's medicine from his bag. As this causes a commotion, which sees Lewis get stabbed before he eventually brings out his gun, Sam sneaks out to the back to attack Terry. Unfortunately, Terry fights so well and refuses to be beaten. After getting away from Sam, Terry picks up his gun and points it at him. However, Sam says he knows that there are no bullets inside.
You know their banks.
Meanwhile, Stewart starts loading his gun with real bullets. When he's done, he then comes out and kills one of the passengers, leaving everyone shocked. After this, Sam refuses to fight Terry anymore because he could also have real bullets, so this gets him cuffed at the back. Elsewhere, Alice informs Zara and her team about the plane's change in course, which turns out to be an overcorrection, which means there's really something going on in the plane. Zara's colleagues then request the flight's manifest so that all the passengers can be checked to determine who could possibly be behind the hijack. Unfortunately, no real suspects are identified.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So Zara secretly sends the list to Daniel to check it again. After he does this, he contacts Zara to inform her that there are 5 people on board who have no known records. Back on the plane, the hijackers keep the dead body away, and shortly after, Lewis tells Stewart that they weren't supposed to kill anyone. Stewart then mentions that he only did it to ensure the passengers no longer disobey them.
We're out of control.
He adds that Lewis should remember that they're doing the mission for 2 guys named Edgar and John. After Lewis then shows Stewart that he's injured, the group leader tells him to get help from one of the flight attendants. As he leaves, Stewart hears a message from Romanian ATC requesting to speak with the pilot, but instead of calling Robin this time, he smashes the headphones and refuses to respond. Lewis then goes to meet Divya to help him cover the wound. Sam sees this and tells Lewis to ask for a doctor on the plane. Lewis doesn't think he's trying to help, but since there's no harm in calling a doctor, an announcement is made, but no one answers. Divya then tries to stop the bleeding, but since she can't do it alone, Lewis tells her to release Sam so that he can help. After his wound is bandaged, Lewis asks why Sam helped him, and he says he just wants to get off the plane alive.
I just want to get home, mate.
Elsewhere, Marcia gets a call from 2 cleaners, Joe and Maz, who ask her to confirm Sam's address while looking at a picture of his passport's identity page. Marcia doesn't understand this, but after mentioning that they have a package for him, she confirms the address, and they end the call. The 2 men then mention that they'll now have to kill his family at the house. Meanwhile, the foreign minister arrives at the counterterrorism unit's office to discuss everything happening so far. As they're talking to Alice, she shows them that the Romanian military has sent 2 fighter jets to attack the plane. The foreign minister immediately contacts Romania's interior minister to get him to withdraw the jets, but he says he can't do that because an unresponsive plane could be a threat to his country. Back on the plane, the passengers see the fighter jets, but as they start to panic, the hijackers tell them to close the windows. However, Colette and some other passengers suggest sending a message to the jets so that they'll know what's happening. Just then, Colette opens a window and shows her face. Jaden sees her and immediately drags her away. But his gun gets pointed toward the window. The fighter jet pilots see this and immediately report what's happening. Meanwhile, Lewis starts bleeding heavily, so Sam helps him. While trying to get him to keep talking, Sam asks if he'd like to call his parents, so Lewis brings out his phone and says he can only call his mom, Elaine, because his dad is dead. Sam then checks Lewis's phone for his mom's number. After he finds it, Sam calls someone else while telling Lewis to confirm his mom's number. Sam eventually calls Elaine, and Lewis tells her that he's dying. He also tells her that she'll soon hear of what he did. After the call ends, Lewis nearly passes out, but Sam keeps him awake. He then tells Terry to ask for a doctor again, and this time, a man named David stands up, even though his wife doesn't want him to do so.
I'm a doctor.
Elsewhere, Marcia gets a voicemail from Lewis's phone and hears Sam calling out Elaine's number and mentioning Lewis's name as well. This leaves her shocked, so she calls Daniel to report it. He immediately tells her to send the voicemail to him, and even though she agrees to do so, she doesn't sound happy to know that he didn't update her on the case. Back on the plane, David suggests puncturing a part of Lewis's chest so that he can breathe well. After they get a pen, David hesitates to do it, but Sam quickly collects it and stabs Lewis so that he can start breathing through it. At the counterterrorism unit office, Daniel plays the voicemail Marcia received, so they trace Elaine's number to a house in London. With this, they confirm that the criminals are British citizens.
These hijackers are British.
So Zara quickly informs the foreign minister to tell the Romanian interior minister to call off the fighter jets based on new evidence. Luckily, the fighter jets are withdrawn before they shoot down the plane. The passengers also see this and look relieved. Elsewhere, Marcia arrives home and sees that Kai isn't around, but she doesn't seem bothered because she knows that he's likely at Sam's apartment.
Kai?
Meanwhile, the Home Secretary is approached by a stranger who gives him an envelope and says he'd like to speak with him later. After the Home Secretary enters his car, he then reads the paper in the envelope and realizes that it contains the demands of the people who hijacked the plane. The Home Secretary then goes to the Counterterrorism Unit's office to ask what they've done so far and also show them what he got. According to the paper in the envelope,
So I've suggested he come in.
the hijackers ask for the release of 2 criminals named Edgar and John to ensure the safety of the passengers on the plane. However, the Home Secretary says he won't be considering it because they can't negotiate with terrorists. Back on the plane, Stewart sees Lewis breathing through a pen and looks surprised. David then explains what happened and says that Lewis is now stable. Even though Lewis can't speak too well, he tells Stewart that he called Mom. Stewart then tells everyone to leave.
Out!
Except David. On his way back to his seat, Sam sees Anna's name tag and realizes that she's from Hungary. Since the next country they'll pass is Hungary, Sam thinks of a way to get the hijackers to land the plane. As Hugo asks what he thinks, he says they'll need to capitalize on the fact that Stewart and Lewis are brothers. Hugo looks confused, so Sam tells him that instead of referring to Elaine as his mom, Lewis only said mom while speaking to Stewart. Almost immediately, Sam goes to tell Stewart to consider stopping the plane to get his brother proper medical assistance.
It's your brother.
He adds that Lewis has less than an hour to live and that David is only scared of telling him. Stewart looks shocked to hear that Sam knows about his brother, but he says Lewis told him. This then gets Stewart angry because he thinks Sam is messing with him. As he then heads over to confirm if Lewis is really dying, Devia quickly calls David to tell him what to say. Luckily, David gets the message in time and Stewart falls for it.
Less than an hour.
So he calls Robin to start talking about the possibility of landing the plane, even though Jamie doesn't think it's something they should be considering. As this is happening, Sam tells Anna his plan, which will require her to speak to the Hungarian ATC in her native language so she can pass a message for them to assign a few police officers to the airport where they'll be landing. Anna agrees to do this, and Sam tells Stewart that she needs to be with Robin because she's Hungarian. However, Anna says she doesn't want to be in the cockpit with Robin, so she's allowed to go in alone.
I don't want him here.
As the Hungarian ATC asks her to confirm where she's headed, Anna tells the operator about the plan to land the plane so that the hijackers can be caught. The operator immediately calls her bosses, and after getting Anna to repeat the details of the plan, they start working on the best place for her to land. Jamie starts to suspect that Anna is doing the wrong thing, so she tells the first officer to speak English. Anna does as she's told, and she pretends to talk to the operator about the urgent medical assistance needed by Lewis.
An ambulance on the runway.
Meanwhile, Daniel and another detective go to Elaine's house to ask about her sons. She initially denies knowing anything about what they're doing, but she eventually mentions that the people in charge of the hijack are dangerous people who killed her husband when he tried to go against them. She also adds that they live in the neighborhood and would have seen the detectives in her house. Daniel listens to all she has to say, but he tells her that she'll still have to follow him.
I know.
She agrees to do that, but says she wants to use the restroom first. However, she sneaks out of the house and runs to the road. Daniel realizes this too late, and quite unfortunately, Elaine gets killed by a speeding vehicle. Elsewhere, Alice informs the foreign minister that the plane wants to land. This leaves everyone in the room shocked, but they decide to see what happens with the plane before taking further action.
Will they let it land?
In Dubai, Neela's neighbors call the police to report her sudden disappearance, as well as that of Abdullah, who came to visit her. They also mention the strange cleaners who came to the house. After the police search the house, they then find the dead bodies of Neela and her family, as well as that of Abdullah. Back on the plane, Terry tells Stewart that landing the plane is a bad idea because they need to follow through with the mission. Despite this, Stewart says the landing will go on. Terry then goes to meet Lewis, but Sam follows him. When they get there, Terry tells Sam that if they land the plane, all their families, including Sam's wife and son, will be killed. Sam is surprised to hear this,
How'd you know that?
but Terry says his passport's identity page has been sent to their superiors because it was what they were instructed to do if any passenger caused any trouble. Terry also adds that the people they work for are dangerous, and they kill people who go against them, like Lewis's dad. As Sam looks confused, Terry says he was the one who was told to kill the man, and that if he didn't do it, someone else would have done it. Following this, Lewis decides to take out the pen from his chest to kill himself so that Stewart won't be killed. Sam immediately tells Stewart about this,
This was your idea.
and he looks disappointed that his brother is dead. On Stewart's orders, Sam then contacts Devia to inform Anna to abort the plan to land the plane. Following this, Anna takes the plane back up, leaving the Hungarian soldiers on the ground confused. The foreign minister and home secretary are unhappy about this, but before they decide what to do, they're informed of Neela and Abdullah's death. Since the people in charge of the hijack killed them, the officials at the counterterrorism unit's office start to think of releasing Edgar and John. Elsewhere, Joe and Maz break into Sam's house while pretending to be cleaners. As they then talk about killing Sam's family, Kai quickly hides so that they won't see him. After they check the house, the men believe no one is at home, so they decide to wait for someone to arrive.
Nothing upstairs.
Shortly after, Edgar and John are released. However, Daniel and some other detectives are told to follow them. Quite interestingly, Edgar eventually stops the car and gives Daniel a phone so they can keep communicating. During their first call, Edgar says they shouldn't have followed him because it will only get people killed. Almost immediately, Stuart receives a message from Edgar telling him to kill one of the passengers and send a picture. He then calls Jamie to inform her of what Edgar sent, so they decide to pick Divya. Sam suspects that something is going on inside the cockpit, so he goes to check. He then sees that they're trying to strangle Divya, so he begs them not to do it. He also says they can use the picture of the dead person Stuart killed earlier. Since this sounds like a better plan, Stuart agrees, but he gets Sam and Colette to do it. After this, Edgar sends the picture to Daniel, who immediately tells his colleagues to stop following the criminals.
Stop the car.
He then forwards the picture to Zara, and she looks shocked as she confirms that a passenger has been killed. As they think of what to do next, the Home Secretary insists that he can't just let them go. However, the Foreign Minister believes that they shouldn't be gambling with human lives. Elsewhere, the man who gave the Home Secretary the envelope calls a journalist to meet him at a bar. When he gets there, the man then informs the journalist to report the story of what's happening. He also threatens the journalist that if he doesn't do it, his biggest secret will be revealed to the public. Since he was once involved in shady business, the journalist agrees. Shortly after, Sam tells Hugo that they need to tell the other passengers to be ready to fight because the hijackers might need to kill someone else again. He then uses Leisha's empty drink carton to pass a message to the next cabin. While everyone gently passes it around, Jaden sees it and informs Jamie that the passengers are planning something. As Jamie shows it to Stuart, he remembers seeing Hugo with a pen, so he gives the man his phone to read the message he just got. Hugo then reads the message, saying another person has to be killed in 5 minutes.
New body.
As Stuart points his gun at Hugo, Sam stands up and says that he's the one who did it. He also tells Stuart to shoot him, but he decides against it and waves his gun around to scare the passengers, who are already preparing to fight. Elsewhere, John and Edgar take a different route covered by trees. They're unable to be tracked well by a drone, but they eventually emerge, after which they head toward an airfield. Unfortunately, when the car gets to the airfield, it turns out that they're no longer the ones inside. As Edgar and John then walk through the woods, they find another car. Before they leave, Edgar sends a text to someone to begin the next phase of their plan. While Stuart is about to kill one of the passengers, Sam attacks him, and his gun drops. This causes a commotion on the plane, but Amanda silently walks into the restroom and returns with a gun, which she uses to kill Robin before entering the cockpit and locking herself inside. Elsewhere, Kai realizes that he's not with his phone, so he sneaks downstairs to find the landline. When he sees it, he calls the police to report the cleaners in the house. Joe and Maz don't hear him because they're focused on watching the news, which is now reporting the plane hijack. Unfortunately, though, the police don't also hear Kai clearly before he ends the call. Meanwhile, the passengers on the plane are shocked by what Amanda did. Sam also asks if Stuart knows her,
Who is that?
but he says he doesn't know who she is. Since the passengers are already beating up the other hijackers, Sam tells Stuart to give him his gun because it's the only one that's loaded. Even though he hesitates at first, Stuart eventually gives it to him, and Sam prevents the other passengers from hurting him, though he requests for all the hijackers to be tied up. He then tries to call Amanda, but she destroys the phone and continues flying the plane while waiting for an update from Edgar, who sent her a message to initiate the takeover of the plane. Shortly after, the Foreign Minister and Home Secretary continue to argue about what to do since Edgar and John have escaped. They also learn that the hijackers only want the share price of the plane's airline to crash so they can bet on it and make a lot of money. Just then,
Thank you.
Alice tells them that she has just noticed a deviation from the plane and that it's now headed for central London. Since this seems intentional, the officials realize that they'll have to make a tough decision. While they're speaking alone, the Home Secretary tells the Foreign Minister that they need to shoot down the plane to save thousands more who could die in London if the plane crashes there. However, the Foreign Minister doesn't want to do this. When she then speaks to the Prime Minister, she announces her decision to start an evacuation of central London to minimize the number of casualties. Meanwhile, Daniel calls Marcia to check up on her. He then asks about Kai, and she says that he went to Sam's apartment. Daniel says it's fine, but as he asks if anything suspicious has happened, she mentions that she received a call earlier from someone who wanted to confirm Sam's address.
They wanted me to confirm Sam's address.
When he hears this, Daniel immediately runs to his car so he can drive to Sam's apartment because Kai could be in danger. Meanwhile, the police arrive at Sam's house to check the place after receiving a phone call from there. Kai immediately tries to sneak out so that the cops can see him, but Maz catches him. After Joe gets the cops to leave,
Probably some kind of mistake.
Maz then brings out Kai and tells his partner that Sam's son made the call. Instead of killing him immediately, though, they make him sit down with them to watch the news about the plane hijack. When Daniel eventually calls him, the cleaners make him lie that he's okay. However, Kai adds that he'll be back home soon on his bike. Since he doesn't have one, Daniel realizes that he's in trouble, so he drives faster. When he gets there, he calls Zara to get him some cops so that he'll be able to save Kai. Shortly after, he then triggers a false fire alarm to get all the residents to leave the building. As he also tells the cleaners to leave Sam's house because the fire warning is real, they both head out only to be captured by the police, while Daniel saves Kai. Back on the plane, Sam gets the flight attendants to give everyone their phones back. He then calls British ATC and requests to speak to the person in charge of the plane. When he finally gets to talk to Alice, she asks about the situation inside the plane, and he tells her that even though the hijack is over, they don't have access to the cockpit because someone else already got in and locked the door. After he says this, the passengers in the plane see 2 British fighter jets near them, but Alice quickly informs them that the jets are only there on standby. Just then, Alex shows up and tells Sam that Amanda won't listen to them because the people who planned the hijack will kill her family members. Sam asks how he knows this, and he says he was also threatened to bring the guns on board or have his family killed. He adds that his job was to only get the deal done.
I'm a trader. I'm the one that did the deal.
As Sam asks what he means, he explains that he helped them organize a deal to make money from the airline's drop in share price. Sam then wonders if they want to crash the plane, but Alex says it wasn't part of the plan he was told. Meanwhile, Edgar and John stop at the shop of one of their associates, who is also aware of their plan. As they get there, Edgar looks happy as he watches the amount of money he's making from the deal. However, John tells him that they need to leave and meet their runaway helicopter, but Edgar says he won't be rushed. He adds that even though Amanda is waiting for his message, he won't respond yet because he wouldn't mind letting the plane crash. Since Edgar will keep delaying them, John gets their associate to shoot him so they can keep moving. Back on the plane, the passengers start to get really angry, so they attempt to break the door to the cockpit, but it turns out to be impossible. Sam then sees Amanda's phone and realizes that she has a daughter. Since this can help, he ends the call with Alice and tries to appeal to Amanda to avoid crashing the plane, because it's not what her daughter would want. Just then, Amanda calls her phone so that Sam can answer it. As he does, she tells him that she didn't mean to kill Robin and that she was only following orders. Sam then tells her to open the cockpit, but she says she can't do that because the other passengers will kill her. Sam assures her that he'll be the only one to come in, and she believes him. She then opens the door so that he can come in. Following this, Sam calls Alice again to inform her that he's now in the cockpit. She looks relieved to hear this and says she'll direct them on how to land the plane on the nearest runway. Despite being a former military pilot with many years of experience, Amanda struggles to handle the plane well because she's worried she'll go to jail. Almost immediately, the Home Secretary gets connected to the call, and he assures her that she won't be arrested if she prevents the crash. Amanda then feels much better, and as the plane flies close to the residential areas, Alice directs her to the nearest runway. Luckily, she finds it and heads down there.
Did you hear what I said?
But the plane lands badly. Alice loses contact with them, but after the plane stops moving, Sam tells her that they made it. Alice is relieved by this, and all the passengers look happy to finally leave the plane. After everyone heads out, Sam remembers that he forgot the gift he bought for Marcia, so he heads back in. Almost immediately, Zara calls the police officers at the scene to confirm that they've captured all the hijackers, including the leader of the group, who is a bearded man. One of the officers confirms this. but it turns out that Alec has been mistaken for Stuart, who is still on the plane. As he sees Sam inside, Stuart picks up his gun and says he won't go down alone. Sam then texts Marcia to call him. While Daniel is driving her and Kai home, Marcia sees the text and decides to call Sam. He then puts the phone inside the restroom, and as the call comes in, Stuart falls for the decoy, and Sam manages to slam the door on him. Before he can do anything, the police officers enter the plane and point their guns at him. Sam then smiles at Stuart before heading out of the plane looking relieved.